Hello and welcome to Sheila Lives Out Loud. My name is Sheila Moniga. Thank you for finding this channel. In the words of my darling friend Apogee, please click subscribe and hit notifications so you never miss an episode. Okay, fine. That was specifically for you, Apogee. I love you so much and I'm grateful for your friendship and all the above. But like I was saying, I am grateful that you're on this channel and we upload episodes every Monday. We're getting ready for season 9, an all new Sheila Lives Out Loud of season 9. Cannot wait to tell and share your stories. But as we prepare that soup over the next couple of weeks, it's human interest stories, and not just any humans. It's humans I know, people I love, and people with a story to share. Remember, you can reach me on all my socials. If there's something that you've got that you know is going to help somebody live life a little better, love life a lot more, and grow in the process, please DM me, find me on your preferred social media link, and hit me up. I'll be looking for you, and I cannot wait to share your story. But as the world continues to grapple with the COVID-19 pandemic, it's still not life as usual. We're still not back to our normal. And there are people who have battled COVID and have been there, done that, and are ready to share their experiences. One of those people is a very good friend, Leslie Sanya. Now, imagine my shock when one morning I switch on my Instagram and he's right there posting about how he got COVID. And he wasn't even in Kenya when this happened, he was far away from home. So you're dealing with this terrible thing and you don't have your friends and loved ones close to you. What was that experience like? How did he get through? He's been posting and sharing all about that experience on his socials. But before I share those with you, let's have a chat with Leslie and walk the journey with him. Leslie!
Hi, Sheila.
How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm great. It's good to see you again. Such a
Oh,
long
you
time.
still take my breath away. Look at you, Ali. But Leslie, how is it that I am one of your really good friends and I only just found out you got COVID back in November this week? How is that? Why is that?
Well, I went to China on a business trip. That was on November 3rd, 2020. And I was supposed to be back by November 7th. This was at the beginning of the second wave of the pandemic, because it was winter in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Originally, I'd planned to be there for a few days, and that's how I had planned my schedule. I did a test before leaving Nairobi, about 48 hours before we left. And then from there, I assumed that because my results were negative, it would be the same in China. Only to get to China and be told that my test was turned out positive. And that threw me off because normally I travel for work and, I don't have to call my friends or business or family members to let them know that I'm traveling for work because that's what I do for work.
Right.
So once I got the news, I was quite shocked. I knew that there was still a lot of stigma with people who have the virus. And I needed to just focus on my own recovery and on my journey at the time. So it was quite a private moment for me and very personal.
Right. Last year, I spoke to a few ladies. It was just trying to find out what that was like. You've made mention of stigma. And last year, when there was hardly enough information on the coronavirus and COVID-19, stigma was really, truly at its peak. Nobody wanted to speak to anybody. If you found out that someone wasn't doing too well, a lot of people were shunned because of that. And that just wasn't the kind of help that people needed. But I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, and you're going through these motions in China, no less. What was that like? Because I know you've documented it and you've been uploading it and walking us through your day-by-day journey, but here you are, you find out you're positive and they take you in. What happened next?
Wow, it was really shocking. The first thing I thought, as most people would think, is they're going to do tests on me. They're going to keep me in a secluded hospital somewhere very far away from any, communication with the outside world. And I was extremely scared. But then I decided, you know what? I've not committed any crime. I have a virus that has been spreading around the world, and this is we've already had our first wave, so we're going through a second season of it. So I was very anxious, a bit scared initially. Then later I realized that since I've not committed any crime, I still have my documents with me. And I'm in a country which seems statistically to be in control of the pandemic. I decided to be present, to work with the facts I have, and just to do what I need to do, which includes washing hands, wearing protective equipment whenever possible, eating well, having a balanced diet, and really just getting enough rest and taking care of myself.
Okay. You make mention to doing the best and taking care of yourself and following the protocols. Now, the language barrier is definitely something that you make mention of. Let's talk about that. Getting by, talking to the nurses, talking to your fellow, patients, others. I'm sure you weren't alone when this was happening.
That was very interesting. Actually, when the doctors came to the hotel, because that's where I was when they came to give me the news. There were two doctors. They knocked on my door. I opened it, and then they had a translator machine, which they just pressed it, and it told me that according to the test I did yesterday, my result is positive, and immediately I need to leave the hotel for hospital to be taken for treatment. And I need to have 1 hour to pack, get my bags ready, everything ready, and then I leave the hotel.
Right.
So yeah, the first thing they told me is I need to open my windows, I need to wash my hands, I need to wear my mask because I was in my room. And after that, after an hour, I was taken down to an ambulance and I was taken to hospital. As soon as I got to hospital, we were, because I was with one of my my workmates, we were admitted in hospital in about 10 minutes. They also used a translator device, which was translating from Chinese to English, and it was quite clear. I made a friend as well there. He was part of the welcoming committee. His English name is Martin, but he is a Chinese man. So he was able to help the nurses to check us in by translating some of the questions and making it easier for all of us. Language barrier was not really much of a problem because we had people who spoke multiple languages within the hospital.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And they took care of you well. I mean, just looking and reading your posts and looking at the pictures that you're uploading, they don't joke. Their PPEs are on another level.
Yes, absolutely. What I realized about this virus is, you just need to do what you know, what you need to do. We by November, we already had enough information about what we need to do to protect ourselves from the virus and to protect our loved ones from the virus as well. So, in the hospital, they were not playing around with those rules. The doctors and nurses were permanently in PPE. The people cleaning the hospital were permanently in PPE, personal protective equipment. We were told that we must have our masks on at all times. There were sanitizers everywhere. Soap and water was provided all the time. Yes, we were actually fed very well. We used to have our breakfast at 7, lunch at 11, and dinner at 5 p.m. And there were full heavy meals with thermoses of hot water on the side, permanently by our sides. And that helped us to, of course, it helped with the digestion and to help with combating the virus itself, because the virus is sits in our bodies, and that's where it lives and stays.
You also uploaded a picture of a Chinese herbal medication. We still don't know what was in it. Did you find out what was in it?
I tried to. I asked Martin, one of the patients there, he's Chinese, and I told him, Martin, can you interpret this? Can you help me understand what this is? So that I can know the ingredients, so that when I go back to Kenya, I can try to source for them and produce them on a mass scale, and try to make my first $1 million.
Help everyone at home,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly, right? So Martin said that, Martin and a few other Chinese patients that I met there said, it's only written, this is traditional Chinese medicine for fighting COVID-19. There's nothing about ingredients, nothing about anything else. But once we opened it, of course, because we needed to consume it, it's a brown powder, it's brownish, a bit coarse, and when you mix it with hot water, it tastes like sour porridge. So it's actually quite pleasant,
Okay.
We would take about 100 milliliters after breakfast and after dinner because we had measuring cups. And then once you take that, it makes you go to the toilet. You really go and it empties everything, it clears the system.
Great.
And I think that's one of the ways, that's one of the natural organic ways of the Chinese have been using to fight the virus, just by getting rid of it in a natural way.
Right. Keep all your body systems flushed, clean, and moving and working.
Exactly.
One thing I picked
Exactly.
up from most of the people I spoke to last year who, endured slightly similar circumstances, picking up the virus and going through quarantine and subsequent tests, was that the biggest fight, other than the physical aspect, was what was going on mentally. So here you are, you're in a foreign land, you're nowhere close to anybody who knows you. What kept you going? How did you get through the days? What did you do to make sure the time was going by and you were being productive and mentally present and not degenerating while going through the experience?
One of the first things I realized was I was in a hospital, a government hospital, which has, 4 white walls, a hallway across the rooms, and that was not going to change, That was the only constant thing. The structure of the building and the times of the meals. I knew that was constant. But what I knew for sure was no 2 days are going to be the same. Even if I woke up at 7 a.m. every morning and slept at 9 p.m. every night, no 2 days will be the same. So I have gratitude, to God. From April, when the pandemic was really, picking up pace, I had realized that, this is not anything normal. It has appended the travel industry, it has appended businesses, it has appended people's lives. We've lost a lot of people. So I started digging deep in April because of the nature of my job. I realized that, the works I used to do, the self-talk I give myself was extremely important because all the people most of the people I met in hospital were very afraid. People are afraid of the unknown, including me.
Yeah.
But I decided that I will not let that fear make me lose the battle in fighting the virus. It was a mental battle. I needed to continue positively talk to myself, reassure myself that I'm fine. I was asymptomatic, by the way, so I didn't have any fever, any cough, any chills, nothing. I always have a fantastic appetite anyway, but I decided that when I'm going to give them a delicious Chinese food, I'm going to eat all of it because, a lot of people still during the pandemic are skipping meals because they lost their job and they do not have livelihoods. So the least I could do is have a balanced meal, thank God for the meal, wait for the next meal, wait for the next morning, wait for the next evening, and thank God every morning. So it was just my inner talk, my self-talk. It was as positive as I could possibly imagine it would be. And there was nothing else I had to lose because I had 24 hours every day. And those 24 hours, like everybody else, there's nobody who has 25 or 23 hours. It's what we do with our time that makes us who we are and builds our character. And I needed to continue to be as positive as possible because I had very limited options. I had a full tummy and I had a bed to sleep on. And I had doctors who kept coming and checking on me and finding out how I'm doing. So I was extremely positive and thankful throughout the process.
Oh, wow. I am listening to you talk, and I know you're already such a force of positivity. And as one of your friends, I feel like, how did I not know? This whole thing has made us ask so many questions of ourselves and especially of our relationships with each other. What's it been like sharing your journey online? Because I'm not the only one who's probably reached out and said, "What do you mean, mister? How is this happening?" What kind of feedback are you getting?
It's positive. A lot of people think that I'm still in China right now, but it happened in November.
Yeah.
One of my friends had advised me to write, to note out the timings, what was happening, to take photos of my time there because chances are very high that this is the first and last time this is going to happen to me in my lifetime. And this is a historic moment because the virus has completely upended the whole world's economy. So I was it's a very personal battle. It's a very personal struggle because everybody is interpreting the consequences of the virus differently. People have lost loved ones, and in a space of less than a week. So I know it's a very heavy topic to talk about, and while we speak now, while we're in the middle of the second wave in most parts of the Northern Hemisphere, it doesn't make the virus any less serious. It doesn't mean that we, throw caution to the wind and not wash our hands and not maintain social distancing. We need to be even more serious now because there are variants of the virus right now as we speak. And a lot of research is being done to find out whether the current vaccines are going to protect us against the variants, right? So there's so much work that still needs to be done. What I would say is the virus has given us as human beings an opportunity to reset how we live our lives. We need to find ways to be more sustainable, to at least be kinder to each other. We need to love each other because you really, really never know what's going to happen, in the next hour from now, tomorrow, next week, next month. We can only, plan so much based on what we've been through. And I decided that every day I was in hospital in China, I'll wake up and behave like that's the last day I have to live. And I made beautiful connections. And to be honest as well, I interacted with a lot of patients, with the doctors. I made sure that I stopped seeing doctors as machines behind a PPE mask. Because those are also human beings. They're as human as we are. And it means a lot to them when a patient actually asks them how they're doing, because they would come in the morning and say, so how are you doing? How are you doing, Mr. Leslie? And I'm like, I'm fine. And I'd ask them, how are you doing? And then they'd pause and be like, you actually care how I'm doing? I'm like, yes, I do. I'd really like to know how you're also doing, because, they're also living, they're not at home. They're coming from a designated hospital, or not hospital, a designated residential area, which might be a hotel, because they can't live with their families because they're exposed to the virus every day. So they're also going through a battle by themselves, So it was a very interesting place where patients and doctors are going through personal battles, but we have to find ways of growing and learning from it and being better human beings.
Speaking of being better.
Sorry, I'm rambling there.
No, please, no. I could listen to you any day. Speaking of being better, do you think in some way having this and an experience and going through what you've gone through has made you a better person?
Absolutely. The first thing, better as itself, better in itself is a very relative word. But the first thing I needed to do was, when I went to China, I had this perception about the Chinese. And I needed to approach the whole thing with a blank sheet of paper, because here I am. I've tested positive. I left Nairobi negative as far as we were all concerned. And if they're going to treat me for the virus, they have 5,000 years of medical history. I need to trust it, because that's all I've got. I didn't have very many options. So when your options are limited, you focus on the most positive thing you can get out of it. So definitely, I'm much better. I'm much more humane. I look at things from a very different light, a deeper light. And I realized one thing: when you ask somebody how they're doing and you make them pay attention that you're listening to, and you really want to know what they're doing, it can change someone's day. It can change someone's perspective on life just because of that one question.
How are you doing? So that's a biggie. How are you doing is not just something to throw around loosely. In closing, Leslie, a lot of the world is still fearful. A lot of people also are experiencing COVID fatigue and would just like to pretend and go back to living their lives like nothing is wrong. What would you like to say to both ends of the scale? Those who are extremely afraid of life and life must continue moving, and those who are, come on, guys, let's get in the pool now. Let's keep it moving. What would you like to say to both schools of thought?
Wow. It should be just, one answer. Let's face what the facts are. We have all, if you've not lost a direct loved one, you've lost someone. Someone who's lost someone from the effects of COVID-19. It's not just the virus that's killing people. It's the effects of it. So let's do what we're supposed to do. wash your hands, maintain social distancing, keep a close circle of friends and family. This is going to come to pass. It's not going to be like this forever. You know, do what you need to do. Be ethical in everything you need to do. Believe in God, because God is real. And focus on being your best person. Life is too short.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Leslie, it's always wonderful to catch up with you. I'm so glad to know that you're okay. And I'm so grateful that you've shared your experience. I'm sure this wasn't easy, but I'm so thankful.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Sheila.
I wish you all the very best. You know how to reach me forever and ever.
Absolutely.
But I want to thank you, my audience, for watching this, for finding my channel, and for checking out this conversation. Please share it. Please share it and share it and share it, because the people who need to hear what Leslie has to say, what he has experienced, is not just an experience exclusive to him. The people who need to know that you can get through this, that there's still life waiting for you, and that positivity is not necessarily the end of life. Yes, it's a virus. Yes, you can beat it. Yes, follow the protocols. Yes to life, because that's really what we're all about, saying yes to all the things that make us happy and definitely make us better. So please share and drop a comment in the comment section below. Remember, I'm looking for your story to share as well. So DM me and let's catch up next week for another episode. Until then, live out loud in all that you do. Leslie, mwah, mwah, mwah.
Love you too. Take care. Bye.
Bye.